Hi, I'm Bill Castelli, the Vice President of Government Affairs for the Maryland Association of Realtors, and this is Annapolis Update. Today is February 27th, and I'll review the legislative activities of MAR during the past week. We had two priority bills that had hearings this past week. On Wednesday, we heard HB 406, which is real estate commission legislation on real estate teams. MAR supported that bill, and there was no opposition to it at the hearing. That legislation would provide the rules of the road for real estate teams in Maryland, what they can and can't do, and providing the first statutory guidance for everybody in the industry. There was also legislation that was heard on Thursday, HB 590, before the House Ways and Means Committee. This is legislation that makes it clear that recordation and transfer taxes may not be imposed on the forgiven debt in short sale transactions. We already have an Attorney General opinion saying the recordation and transfer taxes may not be imposed on that forgiven debt, but this will make it absolutely clear within the statute. We also had a priority bill, HB 62, regarding septic tanks, pass the House of Delegates this week. It will now cross over to the Senate and will be heard in the Senate sometime in the second or third week in March. That legislation states that any homeowner who is living within Maryland's critical areas and has a failing septic system and is required by law now to put nitrogen reduction technology on that system will get a government grant to cover the cost of that nitrogen reduction technology. That was the understanding of the law that passed last year when the regulation was imposed on those individuals living within the critical area. And this just makes sure that the grant money that is available is prioritized for those failing systems within the critical area. We have a couple of priority issues that will be heard next week. And we've got one bill, Senate Bill 666, that is on private transfer fees. That is legislation that would prohibit private transfer fees in Maryland. We support that bill. And a private transfer fee is a fee that is imposed by, could be a developer or even a homeowner on their own property, so that every time that property sells for the next 99 years, they will still be able to get a piece of that action when that property sells. We think this creates a terrible system to try and track with the real estate settlements, particularly when you consider 50 years from now whether these companies still exist and are still tracking these fees and who gets paid. And we think it could create the same kinds of confusion that resulted with ground rents in Maryland when those were eliminated just 2 years ago. There will also be a hearing on stormwater legislation this next week. One bill, stormwater fee bill, SB 686, would impose a property surtax on all residential and commercial property in the state of Maryland and have that money go to stormwater management. MAR actually opposes that bill, as we did last year when it was defeated on the Senate floor. We hope that you go up to our mdrealtor.org website, the Government Affairs section, and check out our 2010 legislative priorities, where you'll not only get a description of all of these priority bills, but you'll also have a link that will take you to the bill language, as well as the legislative history of those bills as they move through the process. Thanks very much for listening to Annapolis Update.